My name is Amanda Hundley, and I'm the Quality Improvement Manager for the ARC Alliance's Supports Coordination Organization. I'm joined by Stephanie Schafer, who is the Account Executive for Southeastern Pennsylvania at Safe in Home. Safe in Home is a remote support agency. Person-centered solutions are developed to support the desired outcomes and unique lifestyle of the person supported. Remote supports work by integrating multiple technologies and sensors for accuracy and real-time 24-hour response. Remote support staff are always available 24/7, reinforcing decision-making skills and encouraging independence, developing authentic and trusting relationships with people served. Safe in Home is able to connect with and integrate over 30 devices, including smart home devices.
Today we're going to be talking about some ways that people can incorporate technology into their life and also provide information about Safe in Home and remote support. So Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Amanda. I appreciate it.
So we're going to start off with just some general technology questions. So you can provide just some examples of technology and how people can use it in their lives. And then we will go into more about Safe in Home as an agency and about remote supports and tying in the human aspect and the support into people's lives. What are some ways that technology can help people live independently?
So, there's really a broad answer to that, but to give some examples, we have some individuals that need help with compliance and got the medication guidelines for medication, and they might have staff right now that's coming in to assist them with that. However, we do have medication dispensers that can help and assist through alerts being provided so that they can take their medications at those designated times that they need to take them. There's also water sensors if there's water leaks and they want to live independently, and if there was some sort of issue with the plumbing on, at their sink, whether it's in the kitchen or the bathroom, these sensors, would be able to pick up if there was a water leak. That way, it would automatically send out an alert, and they wouldn't have to worry about somebody else not being in the home with them to assist them, through that. And then there's also other various ways. We have a video doorbell. So, if they were uncomfortable, answering their door because they weren't sure who was at the door, they just got anxiety, about that because they do live alone. The video doorbell would be an option to them to provide that independence and also feeling safe inside their home.
What are some ways that technology can assist someone in getting a job?
Again, that's also a kind of a broad answer, but I'll keep it, kind of concise and specific for you in this case. Sometimes we have individuals who may, have a job and they want some assistance in making sure that they are up in time for getting ready so that they can be ready for their ride that might be picking them up. So for instance, we can have motion sensors set up in their home. And if we don't see activity by a designated time that had been requested, we would make an outreach to that individual and say, hey, we noticed that there's no activity. We're giving you a call to make sure that you are up and that you can be ready for work and ready for your ride when you get picked up. So that's certainly a way where we can be supportive, of that and making sure they're up and ready to be off to work. But through that, we also can help them have a better night's rest. And what I mean by that is that those motion sensors would also tell us a story if they are up during the night and they're not really sleeping. So we'd be able to share that with their care team and have a conversation. Maybe there's some adjustments to medications or different things that need to be had, where we can then help, in making sure that they're getting a better night, a restful sleep. And then in the morning when they are getting up, they are more rested and they're ready to have a more productive workday.
What are some supports or some examples of some supports that are available for someone who may be in elopement risk?
Again, there's various sensors. We would have motion sensors or door sensors, that we can have set up, and along, with that, potentially that we could have some bed presence or chair sensors depending on the different circumstances. So for instance, if we had a bed presence sensor and somebody was up at 2 o'clock in the morning, that bed presence would would alert to us that this individual is up and out of bed. Now, maybe they're up and they're just having to use the bathroom, or they're thirsty and they want to go to the kitchen. Along and layered in with that, we would have some motion sensors that would also pick up some activity, and that would be able to tell us, if maybe they went into the restroom. However, I should say that is not a camera, and we are not monitoring any of that activity. This is just motion sensor telling us that there's movement in certain areas. So if we start to see a pattern through the night, and we start to see like, oh, this pattern generally indicates that this individual is getting ready to leave the house, we would start seeing that on our activity pattern, and we'd be able to make an outreach to that phone call, through that. So there's again, there's various sensors. So whether it be bed presence or chair sensor or motion or door sensors would give us an indication of some of those things.
What are some ways that technology can be used to support someone who is deaf and or blind?
So we also, again, along with that bed presence sensor that I mentioned before, that actually would shake the bed. We can have a bed shaker, set up with that. So if there was, for instance, if the fire alarm would go off, we could have that set up with some flashing lights, the bed shaker where it would then connect with that, and the bed then would shake to indicate that they needed to get up, that there was an emergency. So through that, through that system, that's one way where we could help provide, some safety and, again, independence and peace of mind to those individuals.
In what ways can some people use existing technology, such as a smartphone or a smart speaker like Alexa or Google Home or an Apple Watch to help improve their lives?
So, through our company, we do use the Echo, and the Echo can be connected to various sensors. So for instance, if somebody does have, at times the habit of getting up during the night and they were an elopement risk, through the use of the Echo, our team would be able to connect through the audio portion and talk with that individual. Also, if an individual was a fall risk, if they happen to fall, they would be able to, say, Alexa, please call Safe and Home, and they'd be able to be connected even while they were down. So, those are a couple ways, that the Alexa could be utilized. And I think you asked also about possibly the Apple Watch. That also, we'd have a geolocation. So if we needed to, locate an individual, maybe there was some anxiety or some various things going on, that geolocation watch would be able to provide us some information as to where they are, the coordinates to where they are, and we'd be able to connect with them or provide their location, to their either natural supports or care team.
So if somebody has sensors in their home, which I know you spoke a little bit about before, but if somebody has sensors, how does that work? Are they, you had already mentioned that there's no cameras, they're just, motion sensors. And I know that there is no one size fits all answer for this question, but if somebody with a disability wanted to know more about how the sensors work, what would be an example of how you could explain that to them?
Yeah, so I'll try to make this easy. I hope that I can keep this as simple and as basic to carry that across. So there's a little device. It's roughly, I don't know, about this big. It's not much more than maybe the size of an extra large Super Bowl, if you can think about it in that size. And that would get placed as a motion sensor into a corner of a room. And depending on the size of the room and how many rooms, are there that are needed, we would place as many of those devices. That is, and if you can imagine, it's two very small screws that are needed to put that motion sensor in place. So when we talk about installing that equipment, it's not a huge overhaul. It's all relatively very simple. And all of the equipment is, in the case of, just talking about the motion sensor, it's a very simple process. And what that device does is it shows us activity. So on our end, we're seeing reports, and we're seeing activity showing up in a different room at a different time, and we can follow that through. So, and again, we can see with the door sensor, if somebody, let's say at 7:30 in the morning, a door opens, we will see the door open on our report, but maybe just a few minutes later, a door closed. So that tells us, okay, they went out for their morning paper, and that's pretty routine. That's something that typically happens for them in the morning. They go outside, they go get their paper, and then they come back in. So if something out of the ordinary, if we saw, for instance, would not be that case, and we saw, hey, this individual didn't get up and go out for the paper, we're not seeing that activity, that may cause us a reason to then reach out to the individual and find out, hey, are you feeling okay? Are you up? Are you out of bed? You're typically up by now, and look into that a little bit more. So again, those sensors provide a lot of information. And again, on our system and the reports that are provided to us, but also that we share with the team as needed or as wanted.
Are any technology services available for people under the age of 21, such as through like EPSVT or Medicaid insurance?
So usually what we do is if the support coordinator knows that there's insurance involved, we usually work with the support coordinator. They usually are the ones identifying as to whether or not insurance will cover these services. What I can tell you is that the waivers, typically, if somebody has a waiver in place, typically our services are covered under that waiver.
So to provide some more information about some of the technologies provided by Safe in Home, I wanted to include some photo references and some information from Safe in Home's website. So for the medication dispensers that were discussed earlier, here are a few photos. These are not exactly what you would be using if you were to use Safe in Home services, but they're just some reference photos to provide a visual. So as you can see on the screen, the information there is directly from Safe and Home's website. So remote support specialists can routinely check in at designated times to support learning and independence when it comes to medication management. A choice of several two-way communication devices are available to support independence with medication. There can be locked medication dispensers that distributes medication at certain times, and a two-way tablet with video can be used to confirm that someone took their medication on time. So the next piece that was discussed was about sensors. So Safe and Home offers some sensors that are integrated with the support staff to layer in that human element. So there are discrete sensors that can detect smoke, heat, moisture, stove use, doors, windows, cabinets, medication boxes, bed presence, chair use, refrigerator use. So as you can see visually, there can be bed sensors, stove sensors, window sensors, and again, the support specialist can routinely check in so that if something, let's say, for example, somebody left, a window open, for longer than they typically do, or if they left the stove on for longer than normal, then the staff can contact the person just to check in and see how they're doing, what's going on, things like that. Some other sensors and other technology. So some sensors can be used to detect if windows or doors are open, like I had just mentioned. The bed, sensing bed presence to determine if the bed is occupied or not. The chair sensor to determine if a chair is occupied. So the middle photo is an example of a bed shaker. And also, again, there is a choice of communication devices such as a tablet, as you can see in the picture, to communicate with staff when needed. And there is also video doorbells that are available, as Stephanie mentioned. There can be cameras in common areas or outdoors that can be used if desired. And Safe and Home's system passively senses activity and inactivity in the home and can, again, send alerts according to somebody's individualized plan. So in the photos, there are some examples of video doorbells. So when somebody rings the bell, the person on the inside is able to see who's at the door. They can speak with them, or they can let them in, depending, who's at the door. And then there can also be cameras in common areas if needed. But as Stephanie mentioned, the sensors are not video sensors. The cameras and the sensors are two different pieces of technology.
How can someone determine if remote support and technology is right for them?
So I would always suggest that, if this is something that you are interested in hearing more about for an individual, I always suggest having a consultation. What the consultation provides is it's a lot of information surrounded around what is specific to the individual, what are the goals and those desired outcomes that the individual and the care team has. And we would then put in place, if appropriate, a plan that would help to support those goals and those desired outcomes. But through that consultation, we would be looking to find out, what is their skill level? What are they able to do? What are their likes? What are their dislikes? And there's a lot more information, that really we gather through that. But that's just it. That is where we gather all the information to see if this is an appropriate piece for that individual to be able to support them.
Let's kind of move away from just the technology, specific technology examples, And let's move into more Safe in Home as an agency and what kind of services they provide.
We're a remote supports company that utilizes technology to provide that human-to-human connection, and we've been around for 5 years. We started in Ohio, and we're roughly about 9 months new into the state of Pennsylvania. However, in saying that, we're not a new company, not new to providing these services, but new to Pennsylvania.
If someone is receiving Safe in Home services and they have a device with a push button alert system to contact Safe in Home, who is receiving the alert on the other end?
So it would be our team receiving that alert. We have our client support team who is going to be on the other end. So over time, our team is going to know the individual and vice versa. They will get to know each other. They will build a relationship. So just as that individual is building, a relationship with their care team and their care staff that's coming into their home to assist them, they will build a relationship with our team as well, who would be providing them, that support, whether through a tablet, which would offer a visual, audio connection, or through a device that offers, an audio connection.
Are the support staff subcontracted out, or are they all employees of Safe in Home? How do you find your staffing?
So they are all employees. They are not contracted out. They are all internal employees hired by us, within our call center, but that's, through Safe in Home. So, they go through training, just as the DSPs go through, the training, and, they're provided all of the capabilities to handle that individual, that's needed. The ISP, there's an onboarding process when an individual does come on board with us that our client support team also completes with the care team and make sure that they have all of that information that they need to know about the individual in place. So, for instance, if there is some anxiety for an individual that when there's a thunderstorm, maybe they like to listen to different music, maybe they like to sing a different song, maybe they like to color. We would help give some choices that would provide them the ability to make some choices to help get through that anxiety that they're having about that storm, at the moment. So, and that's where our team, again, is trained and able to follow that ISP through. They would really be leaning on that ISP that's in place and, supporting that individual.
You had mentioned, about getting reports and data into, to Safe in Home and staff. So how does Safe in Home keep people's personal information safe?
Yeah, so we always like to say that we are encrypted and we are high level bank encrypted, with this. So we follow HIPAA just like anybody else. Everything is secure, in that case. And that's why, through the ISP, we are only making outreach to who's been indicated as to, who we should be making outreach to if that individual, does need assistance, or if we do need to make outreach to alert somebody, about the individual. So everything is kept, through HIPAA is followed, and then also through our system being secure at, at a high level, bank level encryption.
If somebody wants to find out more information about Safe in Home, how could they do that?
So they're welcome to reach out to me directly if they wish, and I can provide my email and my phone number, but also, of course, they can always go to safeinhome.com, which is our website, and they will always be able to get information there. But if they do want to contact me directly, they can contact me at my direct number, which is 610-762-1671, or at my email, which is sschaffer@safeinhome.com.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about Safe and Home? Like, is there anything else that you want to share?
Yeah, I just think, if I could just reiterate, if anything, from today, we have technology, and certainly we can provide the technology in the home. However, that really is just one layer of what we do, and that's what we would consider having passive support and being the reactive support. Where the remote support comes in, where our team is able to, provide that additional support through utilization of the technology. So that's our client support team. When they're making outreach to the individual, making that outbound call, if they see that something's off, the motion sensors are, sharing a story that might tell something is about to happen. They can be proactive now in that case, because they're starting to see a pattern that's leading potentially to something, and potentially help to turn that around. So if you walk away today remembering anything, I think it's really important to know that we are a remote support company that utilizes technology that provides a human-to-human connection. And I think that's the piece, in the end, that's really important, along with knowing that this is person-centered solutions, layered solutions, so that we can help support the goals and the desired outcomes, of the individual.
Okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure.